What's up, folks? I'm Dwayne,
I'm Alicia.
and this is BlackBoardGaming, where we teach you about all these great board games that are out there.
Waiting to be played by you and yours.
I'm a simple man, don't wanna complication.
Hey, everybody!
Happy New Year!
Yep, we're well into the new year now. And so this is our first video of the new year. So what better way to start this year off than to letting you know what our favorite games of 2024 are.
So today we're going to talk about our top 10 games of 2024.
Well, one of us is going to talk about their top 10 game. Now, of course, even though Alicia loves playing board games with me, I'm the one that's really invested in this hobby. So it was hard for me to come up with 10 games. I could easily come up with 20.
So really what he's saying is he's played a lot more games than
I
I
have. Yes, I have.
Therefore, he's going to give his top 10. I'm going to give my top 5. I just haven't played as many games as he has. And quite frankly, I've probably played less games in 2024 than I have played in previous years.
Yes, so she's been traveling and all that. So, but anyway, without wasting any time, let's get right to it. So, before we get into the list, I do have a couple honorable mentions.
All right, y'all. You know what they say. When you live with someone long enough, you become like them. So I took a page from Dwayne's playbook.
You have an honorable mention?
I have an honorable mention today, too.
Really?
Yes.
All right. Well, I have 2.
Okay.
So I still upped you a little bit. All right.
Really?
Well, I'll do mine, then you do yours, and then I'll do my second one. Is that okay?
All right.
All right. So, and I will say that the reason why both of these are honorable mentions is because I've only played them once.
All right.
But they are great. So, the first honorable mention is a game that I was introduced to early in the year. I was introduced to this by my Friday night board game group and had never heard of the game. And that game is called Collab. And so what I really enjoyed this game, and what you're playing, take on the role as scientists who are pretty much putting together a lab, a shared lab with everybody else. And you have these minions, which is represented by dice, and you send the dice out onto the board, and depending on how many dice, including other players' dice, you get to perform a certain action. And you're also building up this tableau, and this tableau of cards are scoring points for adjacency and stuff like that. And like I said, I only played it once. And after I was telling my friend about it, my friend David, he sent me a deluxe copy of it, which that was my biggest surprise of the year. And so I just haven't been able to get it back to the table. When coming up with this list, I was like, I want to get this back to the table, but it is a lot of setup, and I just put it in my honorable mention. It is a really, really great game. So what is yours?
All right. So my honorable mention is Aqua. And Aqua is an honorable mention. Aqua, biodiversity of the ocean. And Aqua is an honorable mention for me because it was number 6.
Oh, yeah, I told her that either we do top 5 or top 10. We can't be doing top 7 or top 6. So.
All right. So I like the theme. I like nature themes. I like exploring the coral reef. So I love the theme. It's a very visually appealing game.
Oh yeah, Vincent Dutrait art. Yeah,
it's vibrant.
Yes.
It just brings the coral reef to life, and it's kind of a tile laying game.
Oh, it is a tile laying game.
And so I like that mechanic sometimes.
Yeah, you like tile laying.
I do. I like the theme. It's visually appealing. It has some complexity. However, it's not overwhelming.
Yeah.
So it's just it's just that right fit for me. So aqua is my honorable mention. Biodiversity of the oceans is my honorable mention.
Okay. So my other honorable mention, like I said, it's a game I've only played once. And I have this game set up on the table right now. You know, I ended up getting this game, got it for review, and this game is called SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. I remembered it. Now, I demoed this at PAX, and that's where I got the copy for review. And I finally got it on the table, and you know, I'm doing like learning it two-handedly. And it has a solo mode, but I'm playing it two-handedly to try to learn the game so I can actually play to beat the solo mode. So in this game, you are pretty much searching for alien life. And you are sending out probes out into space, and then you're sending those probes to different planets, and you're either becoming satellites around the planets, or you're landing on the planets, and you're finding traces of alien life. And you also putting these data into your computers on your player boards, and when you get enough data, you are able to use that data to find some traces. And so pretty much at a certain time, you've done enough research to where you have found alien life. And the game, there's like 5 different alien life that you can randomly put out. You put 2 out, and you flip them over, and they give you different ways to play the game. And I really it's a puzzle. Like I say, it's intimidating, but I'm learning it, and I'm like, I can see why the hype. There's so much hype for this game, because I've been watching a lot of people's top 10 lists, and so I wanted to see, like, okay, does this deserve the hype? Yes, it deserves the hype. So SETI is my honorable mention. I think with more plays, it might go up the list. Probably will. But yeah, there you have it. All right, so are you ready to get into the list?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get right to it. So, of course, I'm going to tell you guys what my number 10 to 6 is. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I'm just going to try to briefly tell you about these different games. So, my number 10 is the Pirates of Maracaibo.
Okay.
Yeah, you know I had to get a pirate game on this list. And so, there's a game, Maracaibo, that I really enjoyed. But that game could be a little fiddly. So this is a standalone game to where you're playing with cards. You're placing cards that's going to represent the Caribbean. And you're sailing your ship across those cards. And when you land on the card, you move in 1 to 3 spaces. And you can either bury some gold, the resource, you're burying gold, emeralds, or pearls. And you get to bury those treasures. Or you're exploring on the map, or you're hiring crew, or you might even buy a building where you can retire for some in-game bonus points.
Okay.
And the game does not last long.
Okay.
And I was introduced to this by my Friday night board game group, and I had to go pick up a copy, and I even got the neoprene mat that goes with it, and I love pirate games. So Pirates of Maracaibo is my number 10.
Okay.
All right. My number 9 is a game I was introduced to at PAX, and that is a trick-taking game called Fishing.
Okay.
Now, the thing about it's been a lot of trick-taking games that came out this year.
Yes, it has been.
And I appreciate that, because, you know, when you're trying to introduce games to family and friends, you want to try to introduce them to games that they're familiar with.
Or mechanics that they know already.
Yeah, so that's why, I've been looking at trick-taking games, and there have been some great ones. The reason why I like Fishing, because it has, so some trick-takers they add a little bit to it, so it's more of a gamer's trick-taking game, but I'm looking for trick-taking games that a non-gamer can appreciate. And Fishing pretty much keeps the standard trick taking, you following suit or whatever, but it adds a little bit of nuances that makes the game stand out.
Okay.
And so I really like fishing.
Okay.
You know, my number 8 is a game that Alicia watched us play recently.
Oh, okay.
And she said it was the funniest thing she's seen in a while, and that is The Gang.
So I watched. We had our last Friday night meetup, board game meetup of the year, and that's when he and our guest played that game.
Yeah, I had picked up a copy before PAX, but I hadn't played it. But then I played it for the first time at PAX, and then of course when I got home, I was like, I want to play this game because pretty much it's cooperative poker.
And it does. Yeah, I think you need at least about 3 people to play it well.
Yeah, you probably need 3. I think it's better at higher player counts.
Yeah, this
because I
is
think it goes up to 5. No, it goes up to 6.
You definitely it's at least 4 people to really make it fun. You probably need a minimum of 4 people.
Yeah, you do. And so pretty much we are a gang who are pulling off these heists. And in order to pull off the heist, we're playing Texas Hold'em poker. And so there's these, you know, we get dealt cards just like Texas Hold'em, but then there's these tokens, number 1 through 4 or 1 through 5, depending on the number of players, with 5 being the strongest poker hand. So when you get dealt your cards, you're going to grab those tokens. You can't be telling people what's in your hand and stuff. And you're going to grab those tokens. And pretty much what you're saying is you have the strongest hand if you grab the 5 token. And if somebody grabs the 1 token, they have the weaker hand. And pretty much there's a token for each round. It's going to last up to, I think it's 4 rounds when we get all the cards on the table. And then we have to make sure that our tokens are arranged to whoever has the weakest to the highest hand. And if they are arranged right, then we succeeded. And we have to do that 3 times in order to win. But if somebody has the 1 and they reveal their weak hand, and whoever had the 2 has a weaker hand, then we fail. The alarm goes off, and if we do that 3 times, we lose. Now, Alicia said she was watching us play and just watching our facial expressions, because poker faces are out the window in this game.
No one had a poker face. And it was just funny because there was one round when Dwayne and somebody else grabbed the 2 and the 3, and that left one player with the 4, and she looked at them like, y'all, I do not have the highest hand. Yeah, so that was funny.
Yeah, so that's my number 8, The Gang. So my number 7 is higher on your list. Is on your list. So I'm not going to talk about it until you mention it.
Okay.
Okay. But then my number 6 is River Valley Glassworks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, River Valley Glassworks. I was interested in this game basically for Andrew Bosley art. I was on board.
So, just for the record, if I had a top 10, River Valley Glassworks would have made the list.
Oh, okay. So that's on your short list.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, River Valley Glasswork is a beautiful, just doesn't take too much time. I've taught this game several times, and it's just so easy to play. And what you're doing is you're going out to this river and you're grabbing gems. And they're like, I want to say there's 7 different colored gems.
8.
8?
I believe it's 8.
Okay, let's say it's 8, and then you're placing gems and you're creating rows, but each row has to have a different colored gem. So, and then there's only 7 spots. So if you get an 8th gem and you have a row that's filled, that 8th gem is going to be negative points. You're also getting points for your 2 highest rows, the leftmost highest rows. And so, and it's just really, really cool.
It's a pretty game.
It's beautiful.
It's simple.
I did back it and got the deluxe edition.
He got the deluxe edition. So the river constantly moves.
Yes.
So it has some adjacency features, but it does. It's a pretty game. The different shapes of the gems and the different colors makes it really quite, just a pretty game.
Yeah, the shapes matter where you're placing gems out onto the river, and then you get to take gems from either side of that part of the river. The colors matter when you're placing them on your board.
Yes.
So it is such a beautiful game.
It is a pretty game.
All right, so there's my number 6 to 10. Are you ready for the meat?
Yes.
All right, let's get to it. So, per usual, ladies first.
All right, so my number 5 is Let's Go to Japan. So if you've been watching our channel for any length of time, you know 2 things. I love traveling, and Dwayne loves Japan.
I do like my Asian themed board games, but this actually was my number 7. This is my number 7 in my list.
So this game appealed to me for a couple of reasons. Of course, it's about traveling, and I love traveling. I love the idea of visiting new places. And so you get to see, it's like basically you're mimicking planning your itinerary if you were going to visit Japan. So
So the designer of this game was, like I said, was actually planning a trip to Japan before the pandemic, but then the pandemic hit, so he had to cancel the trip. But since he had all this research and data, he decided to create a game that mimics planning your trip to Japan.
And so what this game does is it really gives you a flavor of Japan, the food, the sights, the culture.
These are actual locations in Japan.
And the art is just, it's very charming.
One of the things I love most about it is there's some things, so you score points based on your happiness or your stress.
Yes.
So if you stay at an expensive hotel,
You get
it's stress.
stressed.
It's financial stress.
Yes.
You're like, oh my gosh, if you go to a place that's heavily crowded, that's mental stress.
Yes.
You know, but then there's
You might go
locations-
to a garden.
Yeah.
And you
get relaxed.
You increase your calm. So yes, Let's Go to Japan is my number 5.
And my number 7. Yeah, that is a great choice.
Yes.
Well, my number 5 is a game that had a very unique theme. I was very interested in this game, and it's illustrated by D'Amico, one of my favorite illustrators. You know, actually on the short list for my favorite illustrator. But anyway, the game I'm talking about is Bardwood Grove.
Okay.
Yeah, Bardwood Grove. In the game, you take on the role of a bard.
I'm not surprised.
And you are traveling the world, singing your song. And what I love, it's a deck building. It's like you can buy cards from the board to place it in your deck. And on your turn, you're going to reveal 2 cards. One is going to go into your discard pile, and that's going to dictate how you turn your wheel, you know, and how you move on the board. The other one goes into your song. And so when the wheel turns to a certain spot, you get to perform your song. And the song gives you lyrics and melodies, and you use those lyrics and melodies to soothe creatures out on the board. Or you're at a tavern and you're gaining fans, super fans and all that. And then, like I said, you also gaining money, which you can buy cards to add to your deck to make your song more elaborate. You know, this is another game that I was introduced to my Friday night board game group, and they know I'm really interested in picking up a game when I say, does it have a solo mode?
Because he's afraid I won't play it, or I won't play it a lot, so he has to be able to play it on his own.
Yes, I have to. But that game, Bardwood Grove, I love it. I love that whole tableau building, managing your sound and all that. I love all the like I said, soothing the creatures, or there are places where you get to go boast about your achievements. Like, hey, I dealt with this creature for you guys. Give me money, you know? So yeah, Bardwood Grove, that is my number 5. All right.
Okay, so my number 4 is Cafe Barras. Now, Cafe Barras is my 3rd experience with kid
Kids Table Board Game.
Kid Table Board
Or
Gaming.
Kids Table BG.
ATBG.
I always mess that up.
All right. So in cafe burros are a giant rodent in South America. So they did a little wordplay on it, and you're a barista owner. You own a little cafe, and you're trying to, make your business thrive. So you're trying to bring in products. You're trying to
You're making soup. You're serving tea. You're serving coffee, sandwiches.
and you're trying to get in acts and make the decor more inviting. So you're doing all of these things, and if you get the right combo, then you get customers who become regulars.
Yes.
So the first person to reach enough regular customers wins the game.
It doesn't win the game. It
triggers
the end of the game.
Yeah.
But then you start counting up all your points.
Yes. So Cafe Barras is a charming game. It's just my speed.
Yeah.
It's a theme that I love. The art is whimsical and cute. So it's everything I love in the game. It's relaxed. It's easy to understand, and it's cute.
Now, when she said that it's the third game, there's Creature Comforts, then there's Maple Valley, and now Cafe Barras. And I think Cafe Barras is so easy to get to the table.
It is.
So I like that pick.
Okay.
Now, being that Cafe Barras is a lighter game, we're going to jump to my number 4, which is probably the heaviest on the list. And that is Unconscious Minds.
Okay. I knew that was going to be on your list.
Oh, I love Unconscious Mind. Now, I backed that one. I backed it on Kickstarter, so I got all the, I didn't get all the miniatures. I stuck with the wooden meeples. But I got all the expansions and stuff. And Unconscious Minds makes my brain hurt, but in a good way. Now, I was attracted to this because, again, Andrew Bosley art coupled with Vincent Dutray art. You've heard their name twice already. And I was like, they're doing a collaboration where Vincent Dutray does all the art for the game and the people that you're trying to cure their traumatic experiences. Whereas Andrew Bosley does the art for the dreams. And I mean, this game is so thematic where you're trying to find a grief layer. You got to get rid of their grief layer in order to properly cure them.
Right.
And so the grief layer gives you points and gives you extra abilities. Also, coffee. Coffee is a main resource. Because these people are like, they're drinking coffee and doing these things, like studying and all that. And you get to publish treatise. I think that's how you pronounce it. Publish your findings. And you gain points from that. And then other players can publish treatise, but they also can cite your work.
Like in real.
Yeah.
In real research.
So I think it's just so much. It's dripping with theme. Now, the reason why this is at number 4, because it takes up a lot of real estate on the table. And it's a lot of setup. If it was a little bit less setup, it might be higher. But this is a game that, like, if somebody said they want to play it, and I have to look at the clock. Like, do we have time? So that's Unconscious Mind.
Okay.
All right, let's go to number 3.
All right. So my number 3 is a game that was a bit of a surprise for me. We actually picked it up at Origins. We got a demo copy.
We got a review copy.
We got a review copy, and it's called Super Kawaii Pets. And in this game, it's a card game. And in this game, there are a bunch of pets that are unhappy. They're not feeling well. They're hungry.
Or they're just angry.
They're just angry. So you gotta feed them or give them medicine.
Or give them some love.
Give them some love and just meet their needs. And this game is simple, but it does require a little bit of planning and a little bit of strategy. And I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this game.
Now, I have to say, I was surprised of how great the game is. But I was also surprised that you had it on your list. Because, so, just a little caveat. I've watched so many people's, other content creators' top 10 games. And this is the first time that I heard Super Kawaii Pets. Which it all says done. What that says is, this is our list. You know, we like what we like. Some people like what they like. And I enjoy watching people's top 10. It piques my interest. It's like, okay, this game must be really good. So I appreciate that you put this on your list because it's actually a really good game. And this is your list, you know. Now, on my list, my number 3 is probably my most played game on this list. And people have asked me to teach it. I've walked to people reading the rule books on this game and say, hey, I can teach it to you real quick. And that is Harmonies.
Okay.
Yeah, Harmonies is such a beautiful, aesthetically beautiful game on the table. Now, it is, people have compared it to Cascadia. They've compared it to Reef, you know. And I can see the comparison, which is why it's at a number 3, you know. But I really love this game. I love the puzzle it provides. I love, like, as you get closer to the end, that puzzle gets harder.
It does tighten
You know,
up.
it tightens up the board, and, you know, you're trying to figure out, okay, how can I score the most points? And then it has the animals that, you know, they require to be on different types of landscape, like it needs to be on a mountain next to a lake or something like that, and you get to place those cubes that represents the animals, so you get to draft one of those cards. But that game is one of those games when you get finished with your board, with the game, you are taking a picture of this board because it's just like, I made this. You know,
You get to admire your handiwork.
exactly. So I love Harmonies. You know, so now we getting to 1 and 2 now.
Okay.
So you ready?
Yes.
All right, let's go.
So, my number 2 and number 1 were just a little bit challenging for me because I had a little bit of a debate about which would be 2 and which would be 1. So, it could have easily went the other way.
Right.
But anyway, my number 2 is Wild Gardens.
Oh.
Now, initially, when I saw the game, and again, I think it might have been a little bit late at night, and I think I might have still been working. I was close to my break, but I wasn't at break yet. So I was feeling some kind of way, like this looked like a lot. But it turned out to not be too much. And so the game is pretty. But
it's beautiful.
But what reeled me in was the character that I used as my person looked like me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it did.
And she was wearing my favorite color, purple.
Purple.
So, but anyway.
Now, I was like, when I first saw the art on the box, you know, the box art, I was sitting there like, man, did my wife model for this? You know?
So, in Wild Gardens, you play as foragers. You're going through a wild garden and you're picking ingredients like mushrooms and onions. Now, they have more exotic names than that, but that's essentially what you're doing.
That's pretty much what you're doing.
And
they're raspberries. I think they're raspberries too.
And not only are you concocting dishes with these, but you actually are feeding random people who happen to be in the garden too. So it's a fun game. It has just enough complexity to make it interesting.
But it is still a cozy game.
Yes.
It is a cozy game.
It's not a brain burner.
Yeah, so I think where the complexity comes from is how you move around the board. You have these 5 tokens, and they're numbered like 1 through 4, and then there's a while. And those tokens dictate how many spaces you can move in the garden. And then when you land on that space, you can forge an ingredient from that space that's adjacent to your spot. And then if you want to cook, there's these cars that have these really beautiful presentation of meals.
But you have to maneuver in order to cook.
You have to be on a picnic table.
Right.
You
do have to maneuver yourself to be in that spot when you're ready to cook or when you're ready to serve someone.
Yeah, and it's just so great. And then you can upgrade your movements because you got 3 places where you can put your tokens, but you can upgrade those, like going to the library and reading a book that lets you I can do this now. Oh, I know how this particular ingredient looks, so I can get that too or whatever.
Yes.
So it's really, really cool. It is an extraordinarily beautiful game.
It is a very pretty game.
I'm glad to see this on your list.
Okay.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes.
So my number 2 is a game from probably my favorite designer. If not, probably is Ryan Lockett.
Okay.
And that is called Creature Caravan.
Okay.
And Creature Caravan, it takes you into that world that he has created, Arzium. And what you're doing is you're trying to move your caravan across this board to get to the city because the board is overrun with zombies.
Okay.
Now, like I said, I usually don't play games with zombies. The zombies are not a big part of the game. But what I really like about this game, first of all, it's a dice placement game. So you roll your dice and then you place it on these spots in order to take an action. So it's reminiscent of one of his earlier games, Artifacts Inc.
Okay.
And then you're building up this tableau of characters. So you're spending bread in order to hire characters. And what I really love about it is every time you play, the characters that you're building up help you move across the board quicker, or help you fight stronger zombies, or help you to sell stuff to the store and gain points that way. And all this is done simultaneously.
Okay.
And I usually don't enjoy simultaneous play all the time because there are certain group achievements that everybody can achieve, and if they achieve it, they just get ready to grab it. But in this game, there's like a time clock. So if somebody does fights a zombie at a certain level, everybody else has 2 rounds to fight the zombie at the same level.
Okay.
And so and after that 2 rounds, all those tokens move down and everybody scores the same amount of points.
Okay.
So I really love that in this game. And like I said, my favorite part is just the tableau, how you build up your caravan, and they all, some people score points for having other people in your caravan, or if you have this guy, then you get this or whatever. So it's just pretty much everybody gels.
Okay.
I really love Creature Caravan.
But it is a competitive game.
Yeah, it is a competitive game. Just have a solo mode.
Okay.
So I really love it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my number 2.
Okay.
All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah, okay. Here's our number 1. All right, so go ahead, tell me what game beat out all those other great games you mentioned.
All right. So my number 1 game for 2024 is Windmill Valley. Now, Windmill Valley and Wild Garden were almost neck and neck, especially since Wild Garden had me. However, I think what made Windmill Valley win out for me was I like the action selection mechanic.
I like that wheel. That wheel, yeah.
That's a little bit unique, and it gave that game the edge. But again, this is a game, I like the complexity level. It's not overly simple, but it doesn't give me a headache. It's a lot to do. You have a lot of choices, but it's not overwhelming. So I like that. It's visually appealing.
It is. It is a beautiful, beautiful, colorful game.
And I like the way you can do the upgrade. So there are just so many things about Windmill Valley that I like in a game. And that's why it's my top game for 2024.
Now, Windmill Valley would probably be my 11th.
Okay.
I mean, this was hard. No, I'm be honest. I don't know, cause I'm still playing SETI, and you know, I don't know. It will definitely make my 15.
Okay.
You know, but I really enjoyed it because of that wheel. You know, you're spinning that wheel and you get to take one of the actions. But if you upgrade that wheel, you get to take both actions.
Yes.
And you're going to the market to gain tulip bulbs, and then you're planting tulips in order to score points in the grid, kind of like River Valley Glassworks in a way. And then you're hiring people to come work for you. They either can work for you or they'll give you in-game bonus points. So I love multi-use cards.
Yes.
And I like you putting your windmills out onto the field.
Yes.
And you're shipping tulips to other countries or whatever. And just the upgrade of that wheel. And I love the management of that, the dam that dictates how far you could turn the wheel.
Yes.
You know, so yeah, Windmill Valley, I really, really did enjoy that game.
Yes.
But my number one, so if you watch this channel any length of time, you know that my number one board game of all time is Everdell. And one of the reasons I like Everdell, because it brings me into this whole other world, a cozy little world. But it also presents me with all these mechanics, you know. And this is the game that led my wife into playing games like Windmill Valley and Barcelona and Arc Nova and all that. And because it introduces you to resource management, tableau building, or whatever. But so my number one game is another game that satisfies all that for me. It brings me into this world. You know, with the art. The art of this game is beautiful. And it gives me a puzzle that makes my head hurt. And it is a pick up and deliver game, but it's a route building. And that game is called Miss Win.
Now, Miss Win, I played that game.
Well, we played it a couple nights ago.
And it is a charming game. And I like it a lot. And I would definitely play it again. But the reason it's not in my top 10 is because of that very reason. It is a bit of a brain burner for me.
Yeah. And so pretty much in this game, you have flying whales. That should have been the first thing I mentioned.
That you've trained.
And these flying whales are delivering goods like mushrooms or coal or oil. But in order to move the whales from point A to point B, you got to spend krill. And krill is very tight in this game.
Krill is the resource.
Yes. And so pretty much, krill, and there's wood and metal and all that, and coins. And so how you get past that need for krill is you have to build outposts or other whales. So when your whale leaves a location that has an outpost, you don't have to spend any krill.
So you have to create a network of outposts so that you can travel as you want.
And or whales.
Other
whales.
So that you can travel without always having to pay krill to do it.
Yeah, and so there's these achievement cards, like if you're able to create a route from this point A to point B to point C, you get a certain number of points in the game. And then there's also these locations on each corner, and they're randomly placed, these keys, that if you connect this location to this other location on the board, you get the points. If you're the first one to get those points.
So essentially, the way you score points and win the game is by creating networks strategically.
Yeah, this game, I love this game. And it's like I played it enough to where when we played it a couple nights ago, I could easily teach it. You know, and another thing I like is about that selection. You have these tokens reminiscent of Splendor. You know, of course, I got the deluxe copy. So, and you choose one of the tokens. The tokens are numbered 1 through 5, and you choose one of the tokens to put face down. So you're not going to have access to that token during that round.
Yeah, so you have to decide at the beginning of the game.
At the beginning of each round.
So there are slots 1 through 5. You have to decide which one you're not going to have access to in that round.
And like I said, the game is beautiful. The art just brings me into that world, and just the puzzle is just so satisfying. It makes my head hurt, but when you actually pull it off, you're like, I can sit back and like, I did good. You know, I love that game.
It is a delight to look at.
Yeah, it is. So that's my number 1.
I am not surprised.
Yeah.
Your list had no surprises for me.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay. Well, yours had a couple, but I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So there you have it. My top 10 games of 2024.
And my top 5.
And like I said, this list was very hard for me because there's so many great games that came out. There's some games of 2024 that I just have not had the opportunity to play, but I could have easily made a top 20.
Now, honestly, for me, this year was easier than previous years just because I haven't played as many games. But what are your top games of 2024? What games did we play did we mention that piqued your interest? What games did we mention that were surprises to you?
Yeah, just let us know in the comments. And I hope you really enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And, well, better yet, if you like the contents of this video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
I'm Dwayne.
I'm Alicia.
This has been Blackboard Gaming.
We will see you next time.